Okay, this is our 7.2 in the video series I call Design and Code My Personal Website in 12 Hours. Yesterday, in our 7.1, we began working on the mentoring section. Now today in our 7.2, we're going to return to that section and use JavaScript to make the testimonial section interactive. So let's stop talking and start doing. So I'm going to open my functions file. And here is basically the functions that we used for the YouTube video scrolling, this parallaxing move right here. That's kind of all we've done so far. So how about we jump on up here and get this ready function ready. And I'll make a new function and call it in the ready, and I'll call it mentoring, say bubble click. Right? I want my function to be about when I click this mentoring bubble, this is going to happen. So let's take that name and name a function that, and then some curly braces. Okay, now inside of this function, mentoring bubble click, that's where we're going to have all the code that does stuff when we actually click the bubble. The first thing to do, we're going to identify what we want to be clicking on, and that's going to be .face. And face, remember we used to write click here a lot? Click is good, but when I did the last video about the modal, somebody left a really good comment, and I can't remember who. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. But like we explained the difference between click and on, and basically click ties an event to all of them, where on will fire only when that thing happens, or something like that. I forget the details, but basically on is a little bit more efficient. So you'll write on, and then in paren you'll say click, and you can also tie other events to on as well, like hover or focus or mouse over it. All kinds of things can happen to on. But that's besides the point. So on click, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? I'm going to have another function, of course, and then this function will have all the stuff that happens when that face gets clicked on. Oh, let's take it back here and grab that has bubble open and remove the hover. Okay, so we don't want it to be about hovers. We want it to be about having this class, because we want the bubble to stay open. It's not just a hover thing. So if the thing has this class, then we'll stay up. So here's what we're going to do. If you click on a face, let's say this face, we want to add a class of that has bubble open. All right, and then we'll say siblings. So select all of the siblings of this thing, and then remove the class of has bubble open. Done. All right, let's check our JavaScript. It didn't work. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? Oh, I need a dot right here. jQuery, JavaScript. All right, now we'll try it. There we go. We're moving along. Now I want to have the pointer on these things, because right now these are not links, and so it doesn't have the finger. It has the default cursor. So we'll go into here to face and say cursor pointer. Now it'll have now it'll be classy with a little cartoon finger. That's what we want. Cool. Already this is looking good. You click on it and bubbles up, and it will stay, so you can read it and be like, oh, that's interesting, show me the next one. Oh, that's interesting, show me the next one. But the problem is that it goes away, right? Like it goes up under here. What do I want to do? How about we move? Okay. So all these little circles, these little faces will be like a sliding. And if you click one and it's not positioned right, it'll slide to where it needs to be and then pop out. We've got a solution. How about that? let's make that happen in these functions. So how is that going to work? What I do oftentimes when I have some JavaScript that I need to think out loud. Let me clear this up here. Let me clean up my JS for you guys. And put some spaces in between these. All right, that looks good. Oh, you too. All right, when I need to think about my JavaScript out loud, I often just write the steps, the logical steps that I want the JavaScript to go through, and I write them all out in comments. That's what, in comments. So let me show you comments. Comment is when I click a face. Pardon my spelling. Click. When I click a face, I need to get the distance of the face from the top of the parent, right? So get the distance of the face from its parent. Okay, parent. And then I need to move everything. Move the whole container up. Move it all up the perfect distance to where it will be here to here, right? So shift it all up. So it's 80 pixels for the avatar and 35 below it for the margin. So you want to shift it by an amount of 115. 35, yeah, 115. So we want to move it up, let's say 115 pixels plus the count of however many it needs to move, right? Or whatever the math is going to be at that point. But basically, it's that perfect distance. We want to, once we get the distance, we have to move it the perfect distance to where it needs to be. And then we want to, after we move it, we want to add that class, the isOpen class, to the face, so that it pops the balloon. Pop the balloon. Right? And then we should be fine. Okay, these are the 4 steps that I need. Okay, so let's think about this. Okay, we already have a click method up here, so we can just tag along right there. When we click this face, we're going to have to get a few bits of information from it. The first one, we'll store these in a variable. So the first one will be face top, basically, the distance of the face to its parent, right? So equals this basically dot position. This is a jQuery thing. Position top, and position top will give you the distance from the element that we're focusing on, which in this case is the face that you clicked on, to the top of its parent, where offset top will give you the position of that thing from the top of the window, or rather the top of the document, not the window, the top of the document. So position top is what we want, not offset dot top. Now we want to do some math, how far or how can we move this thing, right? So let's take that face top, which is the position. Oh, wait. Let's say just the vertical math. That's what this, the name of this variable is called vert math, so is the math. Face top, minus, what do we say it was? 135? Let's run a console log, and we'll say vert math so that we can check and see if it's given us what we want. All right, so when we click here, we want to know, that's not right. It's getting the position of the top of the document, but I want the top of its parent. Faces. Okay, if I go position relative. Let's see if that has an outcome here, because it might. I have a hunch. I could look at the documentation, but I was going to make things up. Okay. Okay, so here's what's going on. I had to put a declared position on faces so that it would be relative to that parent. It's kind of like absolute positioning, right? Okay, so in functions, this vert math, so we want the golden number to be not 135 because that's just one length of these things. We want to actually be the third one. The third one is the key right there. So let's make it 135 times 2, which is 230, I think. 230. Let's try that. 0. Okay, so if I click the golden one, which is the third one, click it, it gives me a 0 in the console log because it doesn't need to move at all. Let's make this console log bigger. Right there, okay. And then we have 115, that means it needs to move negative 115 down, 230 away, 115, 230. Fantastic, so this is the math. But I'm noticing, let's see, okay, now we have to take that vertical math and according to our map down here, move the whole container up the count, right? You know, I'm going to cache this variable like this. And this is going to make the rest of these things a little bit easier to, a little bit more like, you know, what is it, like less JavaScript-y intense. So if I just keep it like that, that means I want to call it like this later on, and it's less less work for JavaScript to get this, okay, because it's already cached into a variable. So this, what we want to say is this, and then find its parent, which should be face is, right? So we clicked on a face, and it's a list item. All of the list items are children of the unordered list of face. Parent is what we just selected now, and we'll say move you, right? CSS top this thing pixels, so top plus vert math. Okay, so we're taking this number right down here, it's 230, and we're saying vert math plus pixels, so we want to like concatenate that string, right? So it'll be negative 230 pixels. Let's see what we got going on. All right. Oh, weird. I think it's kind of working. Let me put a transition on it. On faces. So we can see it slide. Okay. Wait, that's not right. If I click the second one, it should move up. But I'm getting the second one from the bottom. Are these? This is my surprised face. So if I click the top one, I should get pushed down 230 pixels. But I'm getting negative 230 pixels. So I've got like the inverted integer of what I'm looking for. So I'll have to use more math numbers. I'll have to use more math to like kind of invert it, right? So it's not too hard. Here's how we do that. We take the number what we have right here, this face top minus 230, and we put that in a paren so it gets done on its own. We still want that number to be a little package of its own. And we'll say, this is how you invert the number, just using arithmetic. -1 times whatever, right? And now it'll basically, if it was negative 230, it'll show up as 230 now. All right, let's do this. I like it. Let's take off the pink because that's just silly. And save. I want to move it. I don't want a cubic Bezier. I'll just say ease in out. And then I want to move it a little bit slower, like 3. There we go. A little bit more classy. Oh man, I really, really like this. I'm just clicking it. I'm just clicking it. What was it? Dun, 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 dun. Biddy biddy doo biddy boo. Biddy biddy doo 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 doo. All right. What else am I seeing here? I did notice one thing. Let me refresh it and watch this. Watch this. Pay really, really close attention. It's in the third one, and it's in the third one because I told it to be in the third one with this, right? Cheating. But nevertheless, it's in the third one, and I want it to go into the second one. Watch what happens. All right. I click, and where did my transition go? It's gone. But now I click again, and I have a transition. Why is that? I'll tell you why. Gangsta. I'll tell you why. It's because because right here right there, this line, we're setting the top, right? I've never set that before, so I need to go into there and set it by default. Faces, position relative, top, 0 pixels. Now it has something to transition from. It wasn't transitioning, it was just slapping an attribute on there, a style on there. So let's refresh, and now you should see a transition from the beginning. Yeah, the first one will transition, that's what we want. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to take a second to add content into this. You don't have to watch me, but what I'm going to do basically, actually you should watch this. Watch this. Watch. Are you watching? Watch. What I'm going to do is go in here to my mixin. I'm going to add some attributes to my mixin, or variables, or I don't know what they're called. But anyway, what I'm going to say is the 3 things that I need to make these testimonials work are I need a face, I need a testimonial, and I need a name, right? So these are the 3 things. So let's say the face, comma, words is what we'll call the next one, and then a name, right? So the face is obviously right here in this background image right here, and this is why I included it into the markup, because it wouldn't work with the style. I would have to style each one individually. That would just been too much work and too silly. But we can use what is this thing called? What do you call it? Jade. We can use Jade to kind of create a template, and these templates are going to work really well in just a minute. Let me show you what I mean. So the first thing is the face. So I'll say face. That's how we get the face. The second one is this the words, right? So bam, 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 words. And the last one is the name. So this, now it's templatized. Now where do we put the content in? Well, on each one of these things. So you put a parentheses after the call of the mixin, and then for each of these variables in the mixin, I'll put a quotation there, and then you put a comma, quotation, and a comma, quotation. So there's 3 of them, and they correlate. The order which you define them up above is the order which they're used here. So the face I actually have in my clipboard. This is the face. It's a Twitter image. The testimonial itself is going to go in this next section, and I'll paste that in. And then the name is L.J.Bennett. So save, and I should actually only have 4 here because I removed one. But it should have a face. All right, L. Bennett's going to have a face. These other ones don't have a face because I haven't defined them yet. If I click on there, the empty bubble should show up. And then let's click on L.J. Bennett's. Right? That's his testimonial. That's his, see, I can't click on it because pointer events are removed. But that's his testimonial. That's his name. And that is his beautiful face. Look at him. He looks kind of sleepy or something. It's cute. Love him. So I'm going to do that for the rest of these. I think I want to have 4 more because I want 5 in total. Okay, I did 6 actually. Let's save it and see how it shows up in our layout. Okay, nobody is going to get the bubble. Nobody gets the bubble by default because remember I took that class. It was like, you know, embedded in the markup, but I took that class off of the one so I could use these mix-ins. So nobody gets the bubble. Nobody gets the bubble by default. You can click the middle one and everybody gets everybody's works, but you have to click one to get it started off, and that's no good. No good. We don't want that. So what we do want is to have the bubble there by default. So let's go back to our functions. And you know what I want to do? I need to have a way to launch that bubble. So what we'll do is we'll add a function that just adds that class of, you know, has bubble open onto the face by default as the first option, right? So that will be in here. Get rid of this console log parent. This is on the click. So I want to be not in the click. So this is the click right here. I want to go under the click. Let's get rid of these notes here. Go into the click and say, you know what? Just these right here. Let's take a look at these faces. Take a look at the face and then just filter it for the third one. And then in jQuery you can do things like basically very much CSS selectoring, like nth child 3. So we'll find the face and then narrow that selection, that object down to the third one, and we'll just say, dude, just add a class onto that. We'll add the class what has open bubble, open butt. Okay, yeah. Now when our page reloads again, it should not need a click for that. I'm trying to figure out why this didn't work. See if we have any errors. These are just Chrome extensions. These are not my JavaScripts. Huh. I should have grabbed the third one. Let's run this in the console and see what we get. Oh, it did run that JavaScript. Is that the wrong class? Face has bubble open. Oh, what was I doing? Has bubble open. All right. Now when this page refreshes, it's going to have an open bubble. Boom. See? Look at that. Boom. Thank you. So we're starting with the third one, which is the exact one I want because I want it to look good. I want to have a bubble open. Great. You know what would be interesting is we have this scroll function over here giving us this parallax over here. What if we didn't show these faces at all, and then when we got to a certain scroll point, it would pop these faces into view. Pop the faces into view. That would be pretty fun. And we have a scrolling hook right here, window scroll. You know what I mean? So how about we do this? In addition to YouTube vid scroll, we say start mentoring. This is like, when the mentoring section starts. Just throw this function in there, and then YouTube vid scroll, we'll do it right here. Function. All right, so let's open some curly braces there, and let's start talking about this function. So we have, this function is going to fire on scrolling events. So let's say that as we're watching the scroll, if something happens, and that something is that this section dot mentoring, not dot section, so if a section dot mentoring, now we talked about the difference between position and offset. When we're looking at offset, because we're talking about the document, offset is from the top is greater than, no, is less than W scroll. W scroll like this guy right here, right? If it's less than that, then do this, which is going to be, well, what do we want to do? Like pop it up. We want to make something happen. So let's say for the faces, dot faces, that's the UL that's we have moving around. We'll add a class of like something like launch. Because we want to launch the faces, right? And adding a class of launched. So let's just save that, and then go to our CSS, and where's faces, faces, faces? Let's make that top start at, because we're going to push it down, I don't know, like 800 pixels, something, and then class launch is 0 pixels, top 0 pixels. Is this right? All right, so let's scroll down here and refresh. And there's no, down here there's no faces. We're going to scroll until our window hits the top. There we go, launched. Now you're launched. Refresh, launched. Okay, taking too long. So what we'll do is we want to pop that launched class earlier on the top. So let's say the top minus like 500 pixels from the top. All right, so there's nothing, and then there they are. That's good, right? That's good, but let's take that one. What makes the third one have this one, the face and 3 bubble open? We want to add that after it gets launched. In fact, we want to add it a little bit after it gets launched. So here's the launched, and then let's launch it and then wait a little bit. So we'll do a set time out and function And then we put that function inside there. So it'll be a set timeout. And how long do we want it to wait after that happens? Let's just say something like 300 milliseconds. So it'll scoot up, let's say 400 milliseconds. It'll scoot up and then pop the balloon. See? The balloon doesn't just come already. Do you see that? Do you see that? So the faces will scoot in, and then after they land, the balloon will pop. Yeah, that's better. I'm loving this. What do you guys think about this? Fantastic, right?
You know, I'm really happy with the look and feel of this section, and tomorrow in our 7.3, we're going to make this look good on mobile devices. Until then, take care and keep on hacking.